Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, to keep us positive, we've decided to make this and all of our episodes a drinking game.
Oh no, I wasn't prepared.
So anytime we say anything negative at all about the movie, about each other, about questioning where you have to shoot a plant to kill it, you're going to hear us play this sound. That sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass. We're going to talk about a movie with more scientific explanation than an M. Night Shyamalan exposition scene.
Cheers, guys.
You all know the fucking scene I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes. And they also set up the final thing like 10 different times in 10 different wide shots with 5 people in different. This is great. I loved it. Okay, cool. So that's right, people. We are talking about the 1951 classic, The Thing from Another World, which you may know is the inspiration for The Thing. There was a source material for that. Of course, we'll give you all the scoop on this film and where it came from. But this is the OG, The Thing from Another World, 1951. We're going to get to that soon, though. We got some gripes. But first, we have to introduce a very special guest, even before we get to our sponsors.
Speaking of things from another world.
Speaking. So way back
You're
when.
so right, yes.
Way back when, early in our podcast streaming era, the general scoop is our third ever episode was the pandemic. And we went to the theaters when we definitely should have in March of 2020. And we were like, what are we going to do? We do a franchise face-off. And we're like, this is going insane. We were going wild watching movies. And we had a fan, a supporter, who our co-host John, who's not here, knew really, really well, who is a radio host.
Yes.
A radio host on K104.7 from Charlotte, who stepped in to do, at the time, we were doing 3 movies. 2 supposedly good movies and then a bad movie because we're a drinking show.
Yeah, I feel like I can finally apologize for making your first one Grease 2 as well.
The bad movie was Grease 2. So again, it's a trap where every time you say something negative about Grease 2, you got to drink. But on that list of 1982 movies was The Thing, as well as The Verdict. And so when this segment, the random year generator that we've been doing, drew 1951, our guest co-host last week, Matt, was like, you should do The Thing from Another World. It's the prequel. It's the inspiration for John Carpenter's The Thing. And we were like, oh my God, if we do that, we have to get Jack Daniel back on to fill in for John. So that would be so amazing. Yeah. So Jack, not the Whiskey Daniel, is back. Host.
I'm a hard liquor, I tell people.
Charlotte's K104.7, and one of our first ever advocates for the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Jack. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me. Yeah.
It's good to have you back.
It's been a while since I did this with you, so I had to remember some of the formatics there as we get started. Looks like you have a new setup. I see more on the screen than I did before.
Oh, yeah, we have a scoreboard now that keeps track of how many times each one gets buzzed.
Yes.
Jeff uses that to abuse the system like crazy. See?
Way to get to the random year spinner where it teases next week's episode when you get to see like a Twilight Zone-y sort of thing that Dave set up for us. Dave is the editor and producer of this podcast. He uses his expertise
time tunnel
for free.
showing your age. Jeez.
I know. Here's an interesting bit of trivia. When I was searching this movie to watch it, it shows up on the search as The Thing from Another Planet.
Yes.
But when the movie starts, it's The Thing from Another World. I thought that was interesting.
It also it also has a poster that literally just says The Thing as well out there.
And the original source material was actually called, isn't that great? I thought I was gonna find it immediately in my notes. Who goes there?
Written in 1938 as a sci-fi novella.
Yes, and it was written by John W. Campbell Jr., which is the credited source material for this, and John Carpenter's The Thing, because that's his real name. But the original credit was for Don A. Stewart, which was a pseudonym when he posted this. I don't know. Was he worried about being blacklisted? I don't know.
That's right, white lady from Seattle. We did research.
There we go.
Right. All I have to do is find it in my show notes. But anyway, Jack, I remember, and we also had you on for Zack Snyder's, oh, God damn it, that Netflix movie. I wrote it down. Army of the Dead.
Yes.
In 2021,
Army of the
we had
Dead.
you come back on.
I saw the second one of those.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love Bruce Campbell's movies.
And I'll never forget, we also did an episode, we did The Sting once because you said it was your favorite movie. And we said
Bruce Campbell's Army of Darkness, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we had...
you had Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead, yeah, the recent zombie one in Vegas.
Well, Jack,
No.
first buzz right there.
Got a drink.
Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, no. Oh, it's out of control.
Yeah, we're getting out of control here. But anyway, we're so happy to have you
Just
back.
got
Let's also
started.
and I also remember asking you how radio's changed because you've been on radio for a number of years in Charlotte. And I remember hearing some amazing things. And you were supportive of podcasts. I don't remember you having a podcast in 2020. Is that
No,
true?
we didn't. Yeah, we started shortly after the pandemic. I used to do afternoons with Kristen over at the alternative station in town, 106.5 The End, back
What a name.
from 96 to 2012. We did the podcast. And so
This
we
is
got
the
back
end.
together and started doing a podcast of some of our old bits from those days. And
Wait,
yeah,
so
we
you
were
did
about 150 episodes in now.
from 96 to 2012, you had the afternoon radio show. And so you did a podcast where you would go back through your bits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah, we have fun doing that.
What's
Yeah.
it called?
It's called Loungin with Kristen and Jack,
Nice.
wherever you
Wow.
get your podcast.
Lounging with Kristen and Jack. Well, thank you again for being here. This is so great. And
Yeah.
we might as well pitch this too, because you and I both did this. So I was like, well, crap. I've never seen The Thing from 1982 because I wasn't on that episode that week. You were filling in for me, and I felt like such an anti-movie buff.
That's right.
on this
You were the one to
podcast.
fill in for.
And you were going to be on here. And I remember you talking about that movie, but I was like, I have to see it. So today, I moved yesterday. Today, I did a double feature. And I believe, Jack, you also did the double feature.
I
of
did the double feature starting about 8 o'clock this morning.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
a
I'm
time
an
to watch an
early
alien
riser.
movie.
That's what time I watched it because I had to go to work. I had a matinee today, so I had to go and do a show. But
I had forgotten how good the original Howard Hawks film was.
I
we're going with
almost,
Howard Hawks.
really
I was so
good.
excited. I almost watched the
Yeah.
2011 one.
And
You got so excited.
well, I almost looked at that one, and then I saw it got like 32 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I thought, well, because it's listed as a prelude
Well, it
to
it
the
actually
John Carpenter.
apparently it shows what happened at the Norwegian station, and it finishes with the dog escaping.
That's
So
not
Okay.
it ties right up to the
I
start.
may
of
have
the
to
thing.
watch that after
Yeah.
we do this podcast. Yeah.
So it's basically the Furiosa of the Thing series.
Yeah, nobody saw it either.
I have a couple of Easter eggs I discovered in the 1951 version.
Oh, we
You
have
may
the,
already,
Oh,
you have some too?
What can we? Let's tease it because we're actually going to do it. We're going to set up the film year 1951, and then we're going to get into our featured conversation here.
Okay.
But
All right.
you have to
Sounds
stick
good.
around, people, because Jack found some Easter eggs, which I'm very, very, very excited to get to here. All in due time. Dave, do you mind shouting our sponsors out? Then we'll do some gripes. Then we'll set up 1951, and then we'll get into the featured segment conversation about the original.
if you'll stop
Thing.
talking, I'll do it. Yes, we have a beer sponsor.
But I'll
Carlos
add this.
Barroso.
Just for you, I'll add this.
I forgot you had that on a button. Yes, Carlos Barroso, C Barroso at is it cbarroso.beard for
I think
his Instagram handle, I
I
believe.
think that's
or-
right.
yeah.
It's in the show
Yeah.
notes, and I could check them right now. And I'm not going to.
Yeah, he does a lot of brewing stuff and fun stuff.
Yeah.
They pops up on my feed every now and then too.
We
I'm
also
like,
have a
oh,
music
there
sponsor.
he is.
Yeah, and we also have a music sponsor.
Yes.
Dave,
It's-
tell our music sponsor.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, we have a music sponsor, Dysart. He provides most of the music on this show. And he also, you can find him on YouTube. We know he's on YouTube because we keep getting copyright strikes. Actually, that hasn't
from our
happened in
own
a couple of
sponsor.
months. I should stop that because that hasn't happened for a couple of months.
And Dave,
It's
you
my
gotta-
favorite
if it's-
podcast theme song.
really?
It's a good
Yes.
one. I love
So
the
good.
end. I love the end music. I grabbed that when I found that bit. I was like, that's
Yeah.
going on the end of the show.
You always time it
Well,
out perfectly.
it's- that's that. If that's not a reason to stick around to the end of the show, what is? Like,
It
listen
is.
to the whole thing.
Whenever there's like a boy, boom, and then that drop happens at the end. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Dave, you always time it out perfectly. And Jack, you know Dasein.
I do.
Ah,
It's a small world.
it is a small world.
It is a small world.
I love it.
So much
Okay, cool.
talent, so little time.
I hope the Pepsi 600 didn't ruin traffic in your city recently, but
It was the Coke 600, and they really
Coke.
appreciate you calling them Pepsi.
Yeah.
It's the Coca-Cola 600.
wasn't it? I thought it was always the Pepsi 6. Did it change?
No, Pepsi's the race in Daytona. It's always the Pepsi 400 on 4th of July. The Coke 600.
We buzz Jeff now every time he fucks something up because he
Where's the RC Cola
alcohol's
200?
bad, kids.
All right, this is for all of us. Let's get us back on track.
I think. Yeah.
All right. So we're just going to really quickly go through some gripes, people. It's 1 minute. That's it. 1 minute each, so it shouldn't be too long, and we get to gripe about anything we want. And we're a drinking
when you're
podcast.
this positive, sometimes you just get angry at the world.
And so it's basically you have a minute, no buzzers, you get to go, and it helps us get drinking. Check out our YouTube so you can see us really drink, and you can see Jack here being such a good sport during our gripe section here. So let's start. Dave, we like to start with you. Do you have a gripe that is not about AMC 42nd Street this time?
It's not about AMC.
Okay, cool. Let's hit it.
But I am mad.
Okay.
Peacock has just sent me out an email outlining our now streaming in June. And I'm just going to waste some of my seconds reading this off. So what Peacock's lineup for June on the service that you're paying for: Queer Planet documentary, Love Island USA, Real Housewives of Dubai, Below Deck Mediterranean, Real Housewives of New Jersey, Summer House Season 8. The list goes on for like 3 pages, and it's just all fucking reality TV. I'm like, where the hell is all... They're cancelling all the scripted shows. I cancelled my Peacock. Fuck those guys.
Wow.
You canceled the cock?
I cancelled the cock. I'm no longer on the cock.
We buzzed double entendres. I know that I'm sure they're going to blame the strike, but come on. NBC Universal's got programming.
I mean, everybody like did bone up on reality TV when the strike was ongoing, but then they cancelled all that shit. I know because I have a friend who works for one of the companies that was casting, in inverted commas, the reality TV shows, and then they suddenly pulled the pin on all of them, and they almost went out. The casting company almost went out of business.
Right.
But NBC Universal has so much in their archives that they could put. I'd much rather see old shows than some of that reality shit. I'm with you.
So, I've already griped about reality shows. Enough.
Yeah,
These
but I did this morning.
So
this morning I cancelled my Peacock, and I've already got an email going, "Oh, we noticed you cancelled. Why have you left?" I'm like, that was the wrong thing to send me. It's like AMC last week said to me that. How was your experience?
All right, Dave. Thank you for your gripe. Jack, do you have a gripe for us today?
I do.
All right.
And I was just thinking about that as we started up.
All right,
I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody, but the spam emails in my email account have like tripled or quadrupled since January. And it's just ridiculous shit that I don't care about. I unsubscribe, and guess what? It doesn't matter.
Keep coming.
I still get it. And if it's not somebody trying to sell me something, it's somebody trying to get me to adopt a dog, and I don't want to adopt a dog through an email.
Why would you adopt a dog through an email?
Yeah.
Oh no! I mean, really?
Is it a Nigerian dog?
Is that a reference to our films?
And I get my favorite one is your account with Wells Fargo is running dangerously low.
Oh yeah,
sure.
You need to click here and make a deposit. Well, I don't have an account with Wells Fargo. So that's
the best. Yeah.
That's how you know that it's bullshit, because you start getting emails from people that say they enjoy doing business with you, and you don't do business with them.
I'm getting them in bloody text now.
Yeah,
I'm getting a text message saying, "Oh, we found this job that's right for you." I'm like, "You don't know me at all."
Yeah, sell your house. I get those too.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Those come in text.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My boat insurance one time, they were like, your boat insurance is, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. My boat insurance is awfully low because I don't have a fucking boat. Also, these spam emails are finding their way into my inbox. What the hell is the point of the spam folder? You got to catch these.
Well, actually, it was during an IT presentation once. Someone, their teenager, came up with a brilliant thing because they were talking about, how many emails do your kids have? And they're like, just the one. And he looked at the kid and he's like, "Do you want to tell him or should I?" And the kid's like looking at the floor sheepishly. He's like, "Yeah, I have 8." And he's like, "Yeah, I have one for like my personal email, one for my girlfriend, one for a couple of other girls I'm interested in, one for when I go out and they ask for my email address to sign up for something." And like single thing is a different email, because then when he gets the spam mail, he just cancelled that email, deletes that email account once it gets all spammed up. So he just uses that for spam.
That's both
apparently that's what the kids are doing these days
at the same time. Oh, the fucking kids. Kids were on their cell phone the whole show. I was at a show on Wednesday. They were on their cell phone the whole fucking show. But anyway, that's not my great.
All right, go.
Go ahead. This is easy. You know how in emails you can schedule send emails? It's so great, right? It's like, I'm going to send this, but I'm going to send it tomorrow. I'm going to type it now, and I just don't feel like having to think about this ever again. Can we schedule send text messages? Because the work text and email is getting awfully blurry. And sometimes when you respond on a text, people assume that you're there, you're available, you're just on your phone. And it's like, so they'll respond right away. So if I text somebody and they text me back, they assume that I'll be able to respond right away. Because what are the odds I put my phone away in the last 5 seconds? But it's like, I don't want to talk about this right now. So I want to be able to just like schedule send my messages. Let's say like I'm going to see a show or something. Just like, I'll do it in an hour. I'll respond. I want to respond, but I don't want to converse. And that line is awfully blurry in text messages. So all I'm saying is, let me schedule send a text message. I know that the ability is out there because you can do it with emails very easily. Let me do that. And also, kids, get off your goddamn fucking phones at the theater. Are you out of your fucking minds? That's it.
Nice, got it just in. You know what fixes those texts? If you knock your camera out of blur and just take an out of focus dick pic and send that back, and then, oh, sorry, delete that.
I'll be like, well, you shouldn't have texted me a work email.
I like the people that will give me a one-word response at 2 a.m. to a text I sent at 7:30.
Yeah, what were you doing?
Like, really?
Up until now?
That's their most clear-headed, is at 2 a.m.
Yeah, and you don't think I'm asleep, maybe?
So I usually set an alarm for 4 a.m. to text them back.
You set an alarm to text them back. That's great.
Fuck yeah, I'm vindictive like that.
I used to throw books in the middle of my floor so that I'd be like, I hope I remember to respond to that person tomorrow. And I'd wake up and I'd be like, what is this book for? I was like, oh yeah, I should probably respond to that person. Okay.
You have weird reminder mechanisms.
All right. We're still teasing Jack's Easter eggs for the film here. Maybe this is a good time to also remind everybody, we've been doing a lot of sort of origin type films, sort of by accident, by doing this random year generator. So High Noon was like the first huge monster successful Western. Obviously there were other Westerns before that, and people might even say other successful Westerns, but that seemed to be a big influence on a lot of other people, especially as far as like the AFI list and other fucking things like that Dave doesn't give a shit about. But we've watched the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We watched the original Mad Max. We watched Goodbye, Mr. Chips is not really much of an origin, but The Third Man.
No, that's been remade in a couple of times.
Yeah, sure. And then, of course, some recent titles like Adaptation, LA Confidential, Ad Astra, Chopper, and even 2023's Baghead. Out of all the 2023 movies that we did. So please go through our feed, go through the random year generator. We're having fun. And people I forgot listen to our podcast have been reaching out, be like, I watched the movie because you recommended it. And I was like, fuck, thank God we're doing the random year generator here. So I hope if you haven't seen the original, The Thing from Another World, maybe you've seen the John Carpenter, maybe not like me, but you hear our conversation, you like it. Go ahead and tell us what you think afterwards. We got a number in the show notes so you can send a message or email.
It's 646-484-9298.
Dave knows it because it was his old number.
484-9298. It is.
Right.
It's funny. I checked it the other day. It still tells the Matt and Mark movie show to go fuck themselves. That's right.
So I'm going to tease. We always like to tease. So I think it's good to set up the movie. So our featured conversation, of course, is about this film, but it's good to talk about context. And 1951 was actually a really good year for sci-fi in the cinema. You have When Worlds Collide. You have The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was high on our list. And not a sci-fi, but you have a good thriller. You have Strangers on a Train. You have the Hitchcock thriller. So this is a really good time period, right? Because you're still doing McCarthyism. You're still doing the Joe McCarthy. In fact, they were sitting there, they were saying we weren't blacklisting enough people in 1951. So post-World War II into that next section of Stepford Wife 50s is coming up. So I love setting up the context for this. So
also,
here we go.
This is what, 3 years after the Trinity test as well. So
I believe
give
it's
or take.
Well, more than that. I believe the Trinity test was 44, and we dropped the bond in 45, something like that. 45.
Okay, cool. Somewhere around there.
Jack, how's our history so far? Are we doing okay?
Well, D-Day was June 6, 1944, so the war was over, right?
There you go.
Well, kind of. They dropped it anyway.
Yeah, they dropped it anyway. But those bombs were dropped in 45, though, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But there we go. I saw that movie. The projector went out right before the Trinity test, so the numbers are a little crazy. Okay, let's start with the box office. 1951 film year, our context. If you guys get this right, I'm blown away. What was the highest grossing movie of 1951? And I checked 3 different sources, and they all agree, even though their numbers are different. Highest grossing movie of 1951. Any guesses, you two?
Was it Bambi?
It was not. Wait, did Bambi come out this year?
I wasn't sure.
It was
Shot
not
in the dark,
Bambi.
just like The Hunter.
Okay, well, what do you think, Dave? We've talked about some movies last year. Bambi was 1942. I'm so sorry to say, Jack. So sorry to say. 70 minutes of just absolute tear fest, and I love
Fuck
Thumper.
it. I just got the Trinity test wrong. We good.
Okay, I'm surprised you didn't get Quo Vadis.
That was my band name when I was 15.
Was it actually?
Yes, for real.
Quo Vadis?
Yeah, we had no idea what it meant, but that was what we called the band.
It's
Who was in that? Anthony? Somebody?
I don't know. Some
Well,
kind
it
of
was a couple of my mates, and
no, David's talking about the fucking movie. He doesn't know who from Queensland was in the
Anthony
band
Quinn
Quo
is who I was
Vadis
thinking
back in the day.
Yeah.
Robert Taylor, Deborah Kerr, Peter. It's returning from a military campaign abroad. General Marcus Vinicius discovers a new religion that takes hold in Rome, Christianity. So it's a Christianity origin story.
wow, it's just even better that we picked that name, really.
Here we are. We do a movie that essentially says aliens are real, and we're going to talk about it. And in the same year, they're doing an origin story of Christianity as the highest grossing movie of the year. I'm going to go. Which site should I go with for the highest grossing? I'll go with Wikipedia. You ready? Showboat.
Okay.
They have it number 2. David and Bethesda comes in at number 3. The Great Caruso, the MGM classic, of course, at number 4. They have A Streetcar Named Desire at number 5. I don't know if that's
I feel like that
true
wasn't
there, but
popular till later.
I think you're probably right. It's a Warner Brothers film, of course. More on that in a second. And to round out the top 10, we have The African Queen at United Artists. You have That's My Boy at Paramount. An American in Paris, which would go on to win Best Picture, the Gene Kelly classic. A Place in the Sun, the other contender for Best Picture, Paramount film, was number 9. And then at 10, At War with the
I pulled the handbrake
Army.
on such a bad joke.
Do you want to say it? Do you want to say it now that we already know that it was?
No, I
okay,
can't
cool.
say that on air. It was so
Okay.
bad.
Leave us in suspense then.
It's
Gene
no Grease 2, I'll tell you that much.
Jack. Gene Kelly was also in Summer Stock with Judy Garland this year, so 2 musicals for Gene Kelly. Couple bits of news. February 15th, United Artists had a change of management. And obviously they had one of the highest grossing pictures, so good for them. Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland premieres, and as you notice, it did not crack the top 10 according to that standard, but re-releases, and it became a huge TV and video, VHS, huge success later. That it became one of the first ever, I guess they called it a cult classic, even though all the Disney films
later
are cult
everybody had
classics.
access to drugs, so they understood.
Drugs definitely helped. Drugs help Bambi too. Sorry, especially ones that make you cry and be sad. Okay, Rashomon would win the Golden Lion this year at the Venice Film Festival, bringing worldwide attention to Japanese films, specifically Kurosawa, but also bringing people back to Ozu and all the other great filmmakers of the 40s and 50s. And also Japan was still working through some shit, still making deals with China at the time because they didn't have treaties after the war. Rashomon won the Golden Lion, 1951, one of the best films ever, of course. The House Un-American Activities Committee opened up their investigation because they decided they weren't being hard enough against communism. We talked about that. Fuck that shit. Raj Kapoor's first blockbuster movie, Awara, is released in India, and Raj Kapoor would become known as like one of the biggest filmmakers of all time. But his movies were in India, Punjab films, so not a lot of people outside of India saw them, but a lot of people in India did, and people have gone back and essentially given him a lot of credit for the boom of that industry now, which makes more money than most Hollywood films, right? The Wilhelm scream. Dave, we just talked about this.
It's funny, actually, because the Indian film industry produces some fantastic gear, especially if you're if anyone's listening in Australia. The Bollywood industry is, if I bought most of my gear in Australia from India and had it shipped down because it was like so cheap to ship, and the quality is through the roof. It's amazing. So if you're a starter filmmaker down there and you want some gear, get it shipped down from India. It's good stuff.
I love it. The Wilhelm scream we talked about in our High Noon episode because somebody in High Noon was the voice actor for the Wilhelm scream. One of the most frequently used stock sound effects makes its first use in the film Distant Drums, but the scream would not get its name until the charge at Feather River in 1953. Dave, a little context for the Wilhelm scream. Do you want to set it up?
What do you mean?
What is it?
Well, it's basically a scream that he made as he was shot in one of the westerns, and they recorded that, and it was so good they just copied it, and like Gunshots used it again and again and again and again and again. Well, like it's still turning up in movies in the like 90s and 2000s.
There it is.
You're trying to play that, aren't you?
Can you not hear it? I just put. Did you hear it?
No.
All right. I just put a marker in my audio first so that we can put it in the episode. Okay, cool. Just a couple more things. At the Oscars, American in Paris would win Best Picture. George Stevens for A Place in the Sun would win Best Director, his first of two. His second one was for, anybody? George Stevens, his second Oscar for directing? James Dean? Robert, I'm sorry.
Rebel Without a Cause.
No, sorry. He would win his Oscar for Giant, would be George Stevens' second Oscar, of course. The acting category, this is the famous story. A Streetcar Named Desire would win 4 Oscars this year. 3 of them were for acting categories, but not Marlon Brando. Vivian Leigh would win, Kim Hunter would win, Carl Malden would win, but Brando would lose to Humphrey Bogart for The African Queen. And Humphrey Bogart was the last actor who was born in the 19th century.
Does Brandon realize his mates are voting on him? Like maybe be less of a dick.
Brando? Yes, good point. Yeah, basically he had to wait for On the Waterfront. They're like, okay, fine. Writing awards went to A Place in the Sun and An American in Paris. And for my musical theater fans, Alan J. Lerner won Best Story and Screenplay for American in Paris. That is Alan J. Lerner of Lerner and Lowe fame, who you might know from, sorry, burped, shit, My Fair Lady and Camelot, and a whole bunch of other things. The biggest money-making stars this year, John Wayne, of course, comes in at number 1 again. God damn it, this guy always comes in at number 1. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis come in at number 2. Betty Grable comes in at number 3. One of the times that a lady comes in at the top there. Abbott and Costello come in at 4. Bing Crosby coming at 5. Bob Hope at 6. Yada, yada, yada. And then a couple things around the world, just very quick before we move on here. The United States government began nuclear bomb testing at a site in Nevada. The first direct dial coast-to-coast telephone call was made. I Love Lucy premieres on CBS. The development of the birth control pill, which is apparently still up for debate, happened this year. The experimental breeder recorder EBR began operating in Ohio. The mail one did not give it. Never catch on. Men don't want to put that shit in their body. It's true. That's for both of us. Let's see. And then the first color television pictures broadcast from the Empire State Building. So the first time a television broadcast was in color, broadcast from the Empire State Building, but nobody had anything useful to
it's like 8K video on YouTube.
But yeah. And Jack, since you're here, I might as well say the first ever live sporting event was seen coast to coast. So the first time New York and California saw a live sporting event at the same time was a college football game, of course, between Duke University and the University of Pittsburgh. Televised on NBC. I wonder if that's on the cock right now.
Might be. I carry Duke football on my sports station in Charlotte. Still.
So how was Daniel Jones in college for all my Giants fans?
He seems better. He was better in college than now, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. As a Giants fan, though, I'm going to buzz you because we just gave him $160 million that we're regretting. But
I know.
He got us one playoff win, so apparently that's worth $160 million. Okay.
Apparently.
I think we're all ready to move on. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So as always, I go right into this with the setup from IMDb because we're really classy here. And then I want us to shoot from the hip. What'd you think? What'd you feel? Had you seen this movie before? I think the answer is no for all of us. And initial thoughts, initial takeaways, nothing stuffy. Here we go. This is directed by Christian Nyby, but a lot of people associate it with Howard Hawks, who was the producer, but a former director who worked with half the cast and crew anyway. So it's sort of a Howard Hawks film, even though the technical credited director is Christian Nyby, or Nyby.
It's both now.
Now, yeah. We already talked about the writing. Let's go. Scientists. Oh, by the way, this is available on Tobey for free with not very many commercials. Or you can rent it on anywhere.
I don't know what's happened on mine, but my commercials, the screen just went black for 20 seconds and then came back. They've like fucked up the commercials for me.
Mine were fine, but I did a 30-second and then like a 15, a 30, and a 15. And that was it. Like 3 total a minute.
I got no awesome. Ads
Tobey.
at all. It was,
I paid $4 and watched it all the way through.
Yeah, I almost bought it.
Yeah.
And you watched it 2.5 minutes faster than us. Okay. Scientists and American Air Force officials fend off a bloodthirsty alien organism while at a remote Arctic outpost. They keep calling it the North Pole, which is hilarious. Obviously, the 82 is definitely set in Antarctica, which is anyway, whatever. All right, Jack, you're our guest. You've been awfully patient with us. What'd you think? What'd you feel?
This was not the first time I had seen it, but the first time in a very long time that I've seen it.
This is for me, because you told us that it was a rewatch, and I'm an asshole for that.
And I loved it. I just had forgotten how good it was. The print I watched was really good quality. And it's a period piece, and it just makes you. When I was born in '54, so when I was 6 to 8 years old in elementary school, they would always show us these old black and white sci-fi films, like at lunch one day a month or something. It was a special deal.
My first thought was, how much time did you spend in detention?
A lot. But they showed us this movie. They showed us a movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but some helicopter went down into a volcano, and when it got to the bottom, it was a prehistoric land down there. These were all black and white films.
Makes
Nothing
total
in
sense.
color.
Yeah, dinosaurs live in volcanoes. Makes total sense. Yeah,
of course. I Walked with a Zombie was another one that they showed us. I know it's ridiculous, but it kind of took me back to that time when that was all you had, was that style of sci-fi movie, and the effects weren't terrific, but that's all they had. And I thought the way that the story was told, the acting, I thought was great. And I love the fact that in black and white, you can, I think it can be spookier. Not necessarily scarier, but spookier because of the dark and light contrast. And you don't see the blood. You see, chocolate syrup or whether they used. But I thought it was really good. And
yeah, I mean, it is good when your imagination has to fill in the blanks. It really works for some films. And this is.
I thought I did see several stock replays during the movie, like the plane landing on the ice. I think they used that same cut every time when they had to show that. saving
That's expensive
money.
to do that many times.
Can't afford to film.
Yeah.
They dismissed the pilot after that shoot. It's like, fuck.
Should I share my Easter eggs?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
What do you think my Easter egg is?
Well, I would say this is being filmed in the movie Halloween, that they're watching it in Halloween. But that you're probably thinking about something that's in the movie. So that's.
I mean, there is a Professor Voorhees, but that's Jason.
But
that's cool.
In this movie, Paul Frees played Dr. Voorhees. If you don't know, Paul Frees is the voice of the Haunted Mansion in Disney World and Disneyland.
That's so
If
cool.
you watch this movie again and listen to his voice, you hear that guy, if you dare to come inside, he's got a unbelievable, recognizable voice. And the other Easter egg, other than Jim Arness, which, I think everybody knows that.
As the thing.
But Dr. Redding, the electrician, that was George Fenneman. Do you know what his claim to fame is?
No.
He was Groucho Marx's sidekick on You Bet Your Life. He was the guy that would introduce Groucho. And I recognized him, and I recognized the voice of Paul Frees instantly. And I got on IMDb to make sure I was correct. But I thought those were two neat little Easter eggs from the cast.
That's a
and
great
both
one.
of those actors were uncredited.
Wow.
Their names did not
there were-
appear in the credits.
There were a few when I was looking, like it listed when it says Professor Voorhees, it's like listed next to him uncredited. I
Wow.
was like, wow, these guys just turn up and do a role.
They also didn't list the cast in the opening credit sequence, which is
But I just thought it was very well cast, and the guy that played Captain, what's his name? Damn it, Kenneth Tobey. He's a great character actor. You'd see him in a lot of movies of that era.
Kenneth Tobey has over 200 IMDb credits, so a lot of TV movies, and TV was big at the time. But you're talking film, 200 jobs.
Well,
one is exhausting.
Russell Harlan, who was the cinematographer, has 106 movie
I
and
noticed
TV
that too.
credits, and
Yeah.
they're mostly westerns, which I guess South North Pole Western, not much difference in landscape. You're good.
Well, Russell Harlan, most famous, I suppose, for The Great Race, so a car chasing movie, and To Kill a Mockingbird. So
Yes.
landing a plane on ice and snow, assuming that was him and not somebody else but it looked like it had the same sequencing. It looked like it had the same frame rate and everything. So it's probably them landing it in Montana. And apparently the weather was so fucked in Montana, they lost weeks of filming.
And until I rewatched it, I didn't remember the whole plant thing.
The fact that it was plants.
Yeah. I didn't remember that until I watched it again.
Well, Jack, you'll have to go back and watch the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers because they're all pod people, which nowadays pod people has a different meaning thanks to COVID.
Yes.
But that was huge when we were rewatching that. I think that was also
Was that
Matt.
the one with Kevin McCarthy? Is he in the original?
Yes, because I
Yeah.
kept making the jokes about the Speaker of the House. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
the fun Kevin
Yeah.
McCarthy.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Leonard Nimoy was in the remake. Was he not?
I think that's right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I think
Matt,
it was
Matt knew that
briefly.
one.
One of the the good remake.
A good remake. We should shout Matt out again for the Matt and Mark movie show for helping us out. Since we're talking about crew here, so we also should mention Dimitri Tiomkin did the score for this film, and he has 4 Oscars. Not that everything's about Oscars, but 2 of them were for High Noon, which we literally just talked about, and I've already talked about on the show. The other 2 were for Giant, which I already talked about on the show, and Dial M for Murder. So the score is fucking awesome too. So if that's not a reason to watch this movie on top of Russell Harlan and Howard Hawks and everything else that Jack just mentioned, I mean, come on. Okay, Dave, what do you think?
I didn't
First
know
time
what to
watch?
expect because what? It was.
Sorry.
This was a first time watch for me.
Yeah, just don't listen to me.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect because, like, obviously, I'm a big fan of the Carpenter one, and I sat down and they pan across the station, and the station somehow looks like a model, despite the fact there's people walking in it and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, we're dropping the production value a little bit here. But then I just forgot all that, and they just get you. Like, the story in this is actually, like, they introduce you to so many characters. You're like, how many of these people are going to live to the end of this? And like, I start thinking that way, and it's like I start doing the numbers. And I must admit, when they flew up with an entire team of dogs, I got really fucking nervous because it's like,
Was that flight British Airways with the reclining seats and that was the most
And a sled team
unromantic
of
flight
dogs?
of all time. There was like no seating. They were like, put your seatbelts on. I was like, where are the seatbelts? That is the shittiest cargo plane ride ever.
No, it was probably military plane because military plane, the seats are sideways
It was very authentic.
down the walls. So I know because I've flown on a couple.
Yeah, you're buzzing me for that, you fucking dick. Yeah.
I must admit though, I had a couple of fun thoughts at the like the beginning. I was like, yeah, the fucking Air Force Alaska station is damn cozy. It looked like someone's living room.
Yeah.
Like with the fireplace and the kitchen off the side and everything. And then we get to the Arctic station. I'm like, all right, we're going to bring it down. We're going to bring it down. They walked in. I'm like, dude, I've stayed in worse hotels than that. Like,
yeah.
I've stayed in the Hotel Cecil. If anyone doesn't know what the Hotel Cecil is, look it up. There's a whole Netflix documentary about it. There's a whole story behind that I won't go into, but yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else?
So no, it was funny. I found myself really enjoying it and actually compelled to watch it through to see, because I think having watched the more modern one, I was like, how are they going to pull this off? Are they going to try and pull something like this off? Or are they going to try and do their own thing? And they do their own thing. And so I was pleasantly surprised. And it's all round. It's a solid watch.
Yeah. I'll come in here too. I will say,
What do
I
you
think I think one glowing review too is that I was watching this with my headphones on with surround sound. So I just moved the big TV into this place, and it's a small space. Like literally, we're like, is this TV too big for this space?
Isn't it
And
mono
so,
audio?
Dave, you always fucking get on my audio. No, we had great,
No,
fantastic
in the film.
audio.
The
We've been
film is
playing it.
mono.
But it's
You're
full
mono.
and rich, full and rich in the headphones.
Thank you, Jack. It was fantastic.
Don't help
And
him,
I
Jack.
did
He
noise,
does this to
and
himself.
I did noise canceling. Anyway, it was great. But Angela would stop and I watch without the sound.
Is she just checking you haven't flicked over to porn?
On my 65-inch TV, no, I did not put porn on in the middle of the movie, seeing if she'd notice or not. No, but she would just watch it silently.
Oh, 65 inches, you notice.
I came after the movie.
Yeah, I'd make a penis joke, but 65 inches is, that's Jack, welcome to the show. So anyway, welcome back, I should say. Okay, anyway.
As you can tell, we've classed it up since you were here last.
Yes.
This is what I decided to start with. I decided to lead with this, and look where it's gone. I'm just saying, what a glowing review that this works so well without even hearing what the fuck is going on. You just look at this thing, and it's captivating. It's the moral of my goddamn story, Dave. And I'm with you, and I was completely captivated and blown away. I think they did. Maybe I'll just use my ignorance over the years of, Jaws redefining everything. It's like, well, they didn't show the shark very much. And it's like, whoa, they didn't show the monster for a fucking hour, and they kind of did, but they kind of didn't. And it's like, when I did my rewatch of the 1982, which I loved, when they started talking about the monster early on, I guess there's an assumption that the original source material, that I was like, they're showing us the monster too early. Because in this film, I loved the fact that it was an idea and we were getting pieces of it. And maybe we saw a shadow, maybe we saw some cells or an arm, but the whole thing, we didn't, I was like, I loved, it's not spoiling much to say, you don't get that right away, but it's building the whole time.
But yeah,
it's
the tension build, like he puts the blanket on, the camera just pans over to the power supply unit, and you're like, he just put an electric blanket on ice. So
I think, I mean,
dickhead.
Production design, like 10 out of 10 for sure. Lighting, blood, you mentioned before, but like depth in black and white, it's like you're not going to get that. But I think ultimately, and I remember really early on, I was writing like little notes, just not too many. But I mentioned like Rick's Cafe. I was like, oh, we're at Rick's Cafe in the beginning, right? Like where they're playing poker, they're dressed in military outfit, they're about to, Casablanca, of course. And I love that Scotty's a newsman. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. He's like the outsider. It's always good gimmick for us, so we're the end. He doesn't know anything that's going on, and he's trying to tell a good story. It's like he's basically our surrogate in some ways. But I remember immediately being like, I love masters. I love holding on masters. I love not cutting and editing, just letting four people. This is a masterclass in film blocking, and and yes, design included, lighting.
And
sound,
we've said that before. We just keep finding things that are doing it better.
How many times were there five, six people in a scene, and they're all looking towards the camera, and you don't once think of like, why are 8 people at the dinner and nobody's sitting on this side because that's where the camera has to be? Like they did it brilliantly in this movie, but it let the pace be fast. It let them get all this exposition across without the cutting, without the headache of being like, what the fuck is going on? Because you're just watching it in real time. So I think ultimately, even though this is fantasy sci-fi, this is out there, it's realism in a way that's surprising. Like you're really, when they do the circle around the UFO with the hands, it felt like something that I would do at a campsite. Like it felt very relatable, even though they're in fucking North Pole looking at an alien spaceship. Like it's really surprising how relatable this movie was.
The passing out of the exposition might be my only gripe about this, because it's done at such a fucking lightning pace. It's like, and
there's no cuts. They're talking over each other.
But like everywhere you go, they're offering them coffee, and I'm like, fuck, stop giving them coffee.
There's a lot of dialogue in that movie too.
We need the joints from the 82. We need the weed to slow them down.
Oh my god,
Dave just coughs. There's Dave. Yes,
they're talking faster than Jeff on this show, for fuck's sake. It's like.
Jack, back to you. Where do you want to head next with this conversation?
I want to talk about some things they did with the 82 version when you're ready to jump into
Fuck yeah,
that version.
you can't
You wanna
ignore
jump
the
right
80.
in?
You can't ignore the 82, right? I
No,
love
you
it.
can't. Yeah.
So let's do it.
You know, the 82 version was not long after Alien, which I think,
Ding, ding, ding,
you
ding,
know,
ding.
Jaws redefined cinema in some ways, but I think Alien redefined the horror genre. And I thought this used a lot of the same atmospheric tricks and special effects that Alien used. But I like the fact that when the 82 version starts off and the helicopter's trying to shoot the dog, right?
Yeah.
My wife was
I love
with me, and first thing she said, "I'm leaving. I'm not watching a movie where they try to kill a dog." And I said, I think maybe it's part of the story, you know, and the fact that they had the incident occur at the Norwegian station, and then it trickled, you know, with the dog's arrival, it trickled into their station. I thought it was an interesting twist and a way to make it start out very differently than the 51 version.
Yeah, it's funny if you actually if you speak the language, they actually reveal what's going on in the things they're shouting at the start of that movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and but also it's like, again, this one had one of those open-ended, terrifying 50s endings where it's like, everybody look to the sky, look to the sky, look to the sky.
Oh yeah,
And it just left you hanging, and you know, a lot of people walked out of the theater freaked as fuck and looked at the sky, because the 50s they were so easily influenced. Like,
yeah, a lot of paranoia.
although no
existed
one's going to blame you
anyway.
for War of the Worlds, because at that time that was fucking convincing. But again, the 82 one had an ending that was awfully ambiguous, because there's still a debate over which one of them was the thing
This is
at
awesome.
the end.
Or if either.
Yeah.
If either.
Yep.
So you had three possible endings depending on how you wanted to take it.
Yeah, it's like Clue. I love that. I noticed the influence of the Alien, but for me, it was more about the creatures and the design and the blood, and I almost felt like the 82. They didn't overdo it, but they did it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Gore.
gross alien coming out of stomach, blood and guts and gore.
I mean,
a lot in
Alien
that
set the
movie.
tone for that. It's like, let's go.
Yeah, it was like, let's go. It's like, oh, we can have a
Speaking of
creature
which,
department,
if
too.
you are an Alien fan, I caught the trailer for Romulus when I went to see Furiosa.
What's that?
That's coming soon. It's a new Alien film set in the decades between when Ripley's in Frozen after Alien. So it's set between Alien and Aliens. They go to a space station, and it turns out that someone's already been there and brought one of these things back. So the
Right.
space station's already fucking infested, and they get on the thing, and it's giving off very original Alien/Aliens vibe.
Any stars we know?
Nope.
No? All
No.
new people?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
One thing I thought that was kind of cool about the 82 version of the thing is that it reminded me, with the creature effects, a little bit of another one of my favorite sci-fi movies, Leviathan. You ever
Ah.
see that?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mm.
You know, the way the creatures, there was combined, you know, dogs and people in the same creature. That's kind of what happened, you know, on the ocean floor in Leviathan. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Let's go.
But
Beamer
it was,
together.
That's
definitely
trickled right
dark and
down
spooky.
to like, I think the last time I saw something like that was Slither, the James Gunn film.
I thought it reminded me of this moment in my life, and I hope my parents aren't listening, because we're 48 minutes in, so hopefully they stop listening to this.
Could be a
first time
long
I-
day on the treadmill. Be careful.
The first time I ever watched the pilot of Game of Thrones, I was really high. And the opening, they see the White Walkers, and then the people who saw the White Walkers are all dead except for one guy. And he's trying to tell them, I saw the White Walkers, and they cut his head off. And so essentially, the show opens, and the one person who knows is killed.
Yeah.
And it's like that, like literally in my head, I was like, wait, hold on a second. So I, the audience, know this thing, and now there's no living person who knows what I know. I love that in the 1982, especially the original source material of the thing, it's actually a shapeshifter. And they decided they didn't have the money or technology to do it, so they're just going to make a thing. And the guy even said, I look like a giant carrot. And I will say, he was a very angry carrot. I think he just looks like a monster. But I love that in the thing 1982 where they're trying to shoot the dog. And at first you're like, this is dumb, why are they trying to shoot the dog? But when you actually see them and the guy jump on the grenade, and then, the other Norwegian guy shouting and he's trying to kill the dog, and then they kill him. And it's like, maybe they're trying to kill the dog for a reason, and now we'll never know what that is until you keep, so I love that.
It makes the audience suspect something's wrong with that.
Well, they show the dog a lot. They too much, like in hindsight,
Yeah.
For contemporary audiences, we get that. But at the time, maybe they didn't. But they showed the dog a lot and these close-ups in the next 20 minutes in the movie.
But I like the way they played the between the characters, the suspicion that each one was the thing, and that wasn't present in the first movie. That was that was nowhere to be found. So this was a different twist, and it made it. I think it made more tension in the film.
I will bring that up because I wanted to ask a question. Like, what is the tensest moment you've ever seen on film? And I have two of them. Yeah, anything that just tensed you the fuck up, real hard.
I have two as well.
Yeah, I have two.
Oh, that was quick. I'll come up with mine.
All right, Jack, what's yours?
The in Jaws, when he's diving down and old Ben Johnson's head floats through the hole in the boat, I threw my big orange straight up in the air.
Oh, jeez.
On some woman behind me. And then the chest buster scene in Alien was just, I kind of saw it coming, but I wasn't sure how it was going to unfold, and it was shocking. And in 1979 to see an effect like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dave?
Yeah, well, mine the night vision at the end of Silence of the Lambs. That whole sequence.
Okay, that's great. Great answer.
And the actual blood test in The Thing is the other one, because you're just waiting for it to fucking happen.
Yeah,
and you're waiting, nothing, and yeah. When I felt
and the sound,
I did
the sound that it made.
Oh my god, the squeal! Yeah,
yeah.
It did make me. I missed that in this watch. I still love this movie, but I missed that in this watch. Also, I want to point out that's not how smelling salts work.
Is it not? Wait. So to come back to this movie, let's talk about that ending sequence where you actually get to the thing, because that, what I love too. They do. Not a fake out, but we see the thing and there's the fight, but it's not the fight. It's not the final one. I love that he gets away and they almost burn the thing down.
Oh my god, yeah, they almost destroyed their whole fucking house.
Well, I really want to ask you about this doctor.
Okay, no plan involving kerosene ever goes well.
Not indoors.
Yeah, no.
Come on, people. You can't start throwing kerosene indoors. I know how dangerous he is.
It's like getting drunk and flying a drone in the house. You just don't do it.
Yeah, Dave, that's a personal reference to our fans. Keep listening.
And then in the second movie, they just replaced the kerosene with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
They already have the flamethrower. Like, we got a flamethrower. We learned our lesson from 1951.
Yeah, he's like, bring this, bring that. It's like, don't you have that?
How fun is it, though, that the doctor we're back to the original here. First of all, he is set up to look like he's 60 and he's actually 34 in real life.
Oh my God!
I did not know that. Like he was the Commodore at the yacht club.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
He was
had on this double-breasted brass button suit with some kind of an emblem on it.
And he had two henchmen every time he walked. Every time he just showed up, and he had two people behind him.
He was one box of shoe polish away from Ming the Merciless. And it's funny because in 50s sci-fi, you either got the mad scientist or the scientist nobody listened to until it was too fucking late. And in hindsight, they probably should have shot this guy in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Well, and they gave him his justification of like, oh, this is history, it's whatever. How fun is it when he's like, he'll understand me if he knows truth. And he goes up and he is talking to this thing a fucking mile a minute. Talking about me talking fast.
Yeah.
He's talking fast. Well, this thing's from out of, he's hits him just to shut him the fuck up. Like,
everybody's been offering him coffee for an hour.
It's the shit knocked
to the
out
coffee.
of him. Yeah. And we don't see him anymore. He's recovering while they're doing the final speech at the end. He never Never shown again.
I do like that line though, where they're like, "He suffered wounds from battle," and they're like, "Good for you."
Yeah, they took
Got
the
it.
high road. Yeah, I also wonder, like, the fact that they never really show the creature except in that last sequence, but even then they darken the lights beforehand. Do you think that was what inspired Carpenter to go so hard the other way for the remake?
I honestly think it was Alien.
Or is it just a Carpenter thing?
I think it was the guts, and I think he just wanted to shock people with. I don't know. I wasn't around in that time period.
He didn't want to make. I'm sure he didn't want to make the same movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's got color versus black and white. He's got the special effects. Progress has been made between 51 and 82, and I think
the kid that did that was 22 in all those visual effects. As well.
Now?
The kid that did all the visual effects in the 82 version was 22 years old. Like, that's if you're going to come out of the gate, that's the way to do it.
Also, who was it? Was it?
I've forgotten his
Rick
name.
Baker, was it?
I've forgotten his name. I just remembered it. I remember reading he was 22, and when he was doing it, I'm like, holy shit.
Well, the person
you have excelled.
The person who did the Thing costume, apparently Howard Hawks denied his design for 5 months. And so, kids, don't procrastinate, because your producer may make you do it over and over again for 5 months. Yeah. So get started.
Yeah, get a head start on that.
And James Arness had a good run with Gunsmoke for many, many years. So
yeah.
Play a dead body or a walking monster, and who knows what may happen.
Do your work. He did 635 episodes of Gunsmoke.
That's insane.
You know what actors make per episode nowadays? Yeah. Enough for that to pay some college tuitions, okay? So, your kids are safe.
One college tuition.
All right. Any concluding thoughts? I feel like we're already starting to wrap this up in a
Oh my God, I've still got half a page of notes.
Okay, well, let's wrap them up here.
I just want to say quickly, the amount of other sci-fi that I saw that had been inspired by this is ridiculous. Like the arm scene where they're talking about like they're joking around about the fact that it's a vegetable base, and they're talking about vegetables could do this and could do that. I'm wondering, was that what inspired Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? But what if they came here to conquer us and turn us into food? Is the literal plot of V, the miniseries?
Yes. That's right.
The Geiger counter in the hallway when it starts going off. By the way, at the beginning, they turn up at the crash site and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Geiger counter's registering full. All right, let's go down and have a look." Down they go into the radiation area. They're fine. But no, the Geiger counter, when they started using it as a tracker, fucking aliens, the motion tracker. It even looked like it with the flash. Like, the only thing missing was the increasing beep as it got closer. Like, there's just so many ideas that would seem to have been taken from this movie or inspired by this movie. I might be drawing some parallels there, but I
Sure.
wonder if Rod Serling's Twilight Zone episode "To Serve Man," was loosely based on this. Remember that one?
Is that
where they got on the saucer when the creature landed, and then they found out that "To Serve Man" was a cookbook right at the very end of the episode.
No, I didn't see that one.
Get off the saucer.
I saw the one where aliens came down and was like, we want you to embrace your best qualities or we're going to destroy the Earth. And they literally in 2 days they got rid of all the nukes, everything, achieved world peace and everything, and the aliens were like, well, no, your warlike qualities were the best thing about you. And they destroyed the Earth.
Oh my God. Jack, any last notes that you have that we didn't get to?
It's just that I enjoyed both movies very much.
Same.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
Same story, told differently, and both watches were good, but for different reasons. So it didn't really seem like a double feature. I mean, it was a double feature. It didn't seem like I was watching the same movie.
I want to take 2 seconds before we wrap up to shout out Miss Nicholson as
Nikki?
Nikki Nicholson was her name. So it sounds like a Marvel character, but her character was such a bold departure from what I'm used to seeing in women characters around that era.
She was awesome.
She was cheeky and smart, and occasionally was the smartest person in the room. And it was
Occasionally.
It was yeah. And I was like, you come back on screen, you're a gem to watch. Like, this is great. So
I'm so
it was
glad
a-
that
it
she
was-
gave him she set the course for the finale, basically.
Yeah.
By ratting on the
with you.
doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, and saying, fucking cook it. You fry a vegetable, you boil it, you probably
Light
do
it
it.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
light it up. Light that shit up. I'll just say two more things. Maybe one more thing. I think that I completely agree, and I love the double feature of this. I think having a good source material does help. Everything from movies tends to be adapted into culture somehow because we just look at movies because we don't feel like reading. But the fact that it had a book, I'm sure John Carpenter, the shapeshifter element, for instance. But I think just like get back to the realism of this, I think my favorite line in this fucking movie is like, we don't know anything about this. It's not a joke. Again, it's realism. Like they're aware. They're like, I know this seems crazy, but like it's not a joke. But what if he can read our minds? The guy goes, he's gonna get real mad when he gets to me.
My favorite
I think it's
scene
my
in the 82 version was Wilford Brimley freaking the fuck out. Taking that axe and chopping
yeah.
up all the radio equipment because he knew, that it was going to take over the planet. So he was just out to,
Yep.
destroy the helicopter and everything else. And he was freaking out. I've never seen him freak out like that.
I love it. Dave, any favorite scenes before we wrap this up?
I did chuckle at the end when they're like getting the hallway set up, and again Nicky's there, and he's like, you go that way, you go out there with them. And she put up a token resistance, but it did not take very much convincing at all for Nicky to fuck off to safety. Like, she's the only smart
she said,
one in that
can I
station.
come with you? And he said no. She said, okay. See you
Yeah,
later.
you're going.
Yep,
I'm going
see
with
ya.
them.
That sounds good. I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this featured conversation. We're not quite done with the episode. We have to tease next week's episode year, then tell you what we've been watching, give you some recommendations for the week before finally sending you off with a little Dasein and the actual film we'll be talking about next week. So it is time, Dave, to spin the random year generator. And Jack, you get to witness what this looks
The
like
magic
in
of
real
the ring.
time. You get to witness the void. All right, hit it, Dave. Up. Back to the 1900s. Is that a 9 or a 6? 9 or a 6? 1998.
8. I don't know what came out then. I know nothing.
99 was a huge one for us. 97, we went with LA Confidential. 99 was a huge film year. 98.
All right.
Shakespeare. This is Shakespeare in Love, Saving
I don't
Private
know.
Ryan year.
We'll find out in a minute.
All right. Got to do what you've been watching. Dave, we'd love to start with you. Jack will get to you in a second so you can wrap your brain around other things you might want to recommend.
Oh, I got them written down.
I'll tell you what I haven't been watching. Peacock.
The cock.
Wait, I just gushed you.
Dave's
no, fuck
mad
you.
at
No.
the cock. He broke up with the cock.
He broke you up.
How
All
can
right,
I be
Dave, go
mad at the
ahead.
cock? It's Pride Month.
Good point. Oh my God, guys. Wait, before you do this, Dave, you have to, this is my biggest pitch. There's an edit. It's called Two Bottoms Talking to Each Other. And it is an interview with Julianne Moore and Nicole Kidman from, I just lied. Amy Adams and
Okay.
Nicole Kidman. And it's the two of them talking about their process, and it's edited to make them sound like bottoms for my Pride Month here. It is so funny.
Wow.
It's like, do you prep? And it's like, for a very long time, because I really want to go deep. I want to go deep. It doesn't matter who it is. I need some time to get ready and prep, and then I want to be able to go as deep as possible for as long as possible. It's like, it is so fucking funny. Happy Pride, everybody. Dave, what'd you watch this week?
Did you see the clip going around today of Adele telling people off at her concert? It's fucking worth it if you can find it.
Okay, we're just not even going to talk about movies this week. What other YouTube videos did you watch?
I finally, because
a lot of cat videos.
Max finally got the rights for the rest of the collection, so I watched Mad Max: The Road Warrior.
What?
Yeah.
How long has it been since you watched The Road Warrior?
30 years.
Wow. And?
Yeah, it's still awesome. It's
Is it the
still
best?
awesome.
Is it the best of the series?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, Fury Road, he tops it, but yeah, it's the best of the first three.
Cool.
Don't get me wrong. Thunderdome is still right up there as a favorite, but yeah.
Matt and Mark said that Thunderdome is the movie they remember when they remember Mad Max. For whatever reason, that's the quotes, the scenes. Thunderdome is the one that comes up. But they're bastards.
Total bastard.
That's right. Anything else, Dave? You also watched a lot of Fiddler on the Roof this week.
I was in tech for the week, so yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch much at all.
Fiddler's not a short show, so they didn't give you a lot of time to watch movies during there. All right, Jack.
Have you seen Tires on Netflix?
No, some of my friends love it though. They love it.
You need to watch
the
it.
other day. Okay, cool.
It's pretty funny. I'm also a big Acorn TV fan. I have the app, and I love all the shows on there. I just absolutely love Acorn TV. That's Australia and New Zealand, I believe, and there's some Irish made stuff as well. Really good.
They love Tim Tams and Cutter Beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you were going to subscribe to anything for Pride Month, Acorn TV should be it.
Acorn TV. Outer Range, Season 2. Have you seen that?
No.
It's on Prime.
Wait, Outer Range Season 2's out? I've only seen Season 1.
You need to watch Season 2.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for it.
Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
I'm about 3 episodes in.
Same here.
Maybe 4, yeah.
And the one I want to mention that I haven't seen, but I want to see it, is the movie Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but again, that's on my list too.
Stephen King loved it, so it must be.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm in.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Matt and Mark. They didn't love it, but the reason some like AI based and some other things here. But we love David Desmalkian. We love him so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see that. The trailer is absolutely, you're just like spellbound watching the trailer.
Yeah, so. I'm down for that. I'm going to be watching that this week.
All right. I watched The Thing. I watched a lot of. I moved this week, so I didn't get to see a lot of other stuff. But I will say I'm almost done with Three Body Problems. Well, I watched a lot of boxes, and Three Body Problem is really, really, really fun.
Yes, that's good.
Have you got to the end yet?
Good.
One more, maybe tonight. Probably not. By next week.
You'll be so mad.
Shut up. All right, people, we're just going to take a 5-second break. Dave got 30 buzzes this episode. Jack, I don't know what you did to Dave, but 30 buzzes. That's pretty good. Okay.
I aim to misbehave.
We're going to lay some Dasein. We're going to talk off air. And then at the very end of this episode, again, only like 10 seconds for you people, we are going to tell you what we're watching next week from the 1998 film year. And it is not going to be Saving Private Ryan or Shakespeare in Love. So stay tuned. Talk to you in a second. And we're back.
We're back.
I put another Wilhelm scream in, Dave, just so you know, right there.
Yeah, I didn't hear a thing.
Okay, well, I put a marker in, so it's
your shit is whack.
In the episode, it's there. Okay,
that's a movie reference.
The 1998 film year is awesome. So, Big Lebowski, Truman Show, Private Ryan, Good Will Hunting, American History X. We've already talked about Armageddon, the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap, The Waterboy, etc. We'll talk more about the film year next year. This is also the Ants Bug Life year. Shout out, Mulan. Amazing. We almost did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels because Guy Ritchie's having another moment with his TV show. But guys, we have to talk about this movie. I'm so excited. It's my first time watch, but you both have seen it.
Mm.
And it has the endorsement
you won't be disappointed.
It has the endorsement of our guest host, Jack Daniel, who, again, thank you so much for being here. We really, really
Thanks for having me.
you.
I had a good time.
Thank you. And for doing the double feature. It's so great. Happy Sunday to you. We're doing Fallen. Denzel Washington, John Goodman. We are doing Fallen. 1998. So
and I'm telling him nothing about it.
I've never seen it.
Suspense, yeah.
Dave loves it. Jack loves it. I've never seen it, so it's setting us up for success. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Thanks again, Jack, for joining us. Jack Daniel of K104.7. And also in Charlotte. Yeah. And also your podcast. Can you pitch the name of your podcast one more time, Jack?
It's Loungin with Kristen and Jack.
So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. Dave, anything before we go?
Nope.
Bye.